Hi, this is Michael Anthony Peroutka, and I am the Republican nominee for Anne Arundel County Council in District 5. For almost 15 years at the Institute on the Constitution, I have been teaching and advocating for moral and constitutional civil government at all levels, federal, state, and local. During this time, I have published hundreds of commentaries on WCBM radio and on our website, theamericanview.com. I have spoken openly and publicly about the need for the body politic to study, understand, and apply these standards when they choose their elected officials, and to hold them accountable to these standards while in office. And although times and circumstances certainly do change, the standards for moral and constitutional government to which I refer are fixed standards. They do not change or evolve. Now, when I have referred to constitutional government as a fixed standard, I have generally meant to communicate that the Constitution is a contractual document which sets limits on the authority and the powers of the civil government, which are enumerated in the document. These limits infer that the government is not free to do anything it wishes, nor can it be the arbiter of what powers it possesses. And when I have referred to moral government as a fixed standard, I am referring to the very same moral standard which is referenced and described in our Declaration of Independence as the law of nature and of nature's God. Now, that standard is also fixed in the sense that our rights, and indeed all law, find their source in the divine law. These are part of God's created order, and they are immutable. Now, after detailing and promoting these principles for almost 15 years and sharing them with many elected officials and many others who have sought public office, I have decided that this is the appropriate time for me to enter the race myself. Now, I was blessed to win the Republican primary for the District 5 seat on the Anne Arundel County Council. And if elected in November, I will have an opportunity to put these principles in practice. These principles will mean less government and less expensive government. It will mean that there will be a voice on the council that speaks up for the rights of property holders and small businesses. And it will mean that there will be a voice to defend life, liberty, and property. There will be a voice that earnestly strives to resist Obamacare and the rain tax and the bathroom bill, all of which represent a desperate attempt by central government to control every aspect of our property and of our lives. Now, since these have been my positions for more than a decade, and since they have been published on the radio, in newsprint, on the internet, and are embedded in the constitutional courses of study that we've developed and taught for years, it is curious that many in the local media seem surprised about them now. Some news stories have declared these ideas and principles to be extreme, but they are not extreme. They are the bedrock principles of our founding. They are our heritage. However, they are not welcomed by all, and this is no surprise. The principles of constitutional and moral government are not welcomed by many Democrat elitists who consider your property to be their property and who derive some perverse pleasure by controlling every tiny aspect of your life. And they are not welcomed by some Republicans who have made a career out of pretending to oppose the outrageous taxing and the spending of liberals, but actually sell out their constituents by caving into compromises which actually concede the liberal premise. These compromisers trade the property and the rights of the people for some mess of political pottage. So I'm not surprised that Democrat elitists would oppose my candidacy, and I'm also not surprised that Republican compromisers would oppose my candidacy, and I'm not surprised that leftist newspapers and bloggers would oppose my candidacy either. Indeed, doesn't it make sense that those who have for years conspired to steal the substance of the people would lash out against a candidate who threatens their private, selfish con game? Well, I'm not surprised, and I don't think the people of Anne Arundel County are surprised either. In fact, Scripture speaks to this in 1 Peter 4:12, where we are told not to be surprised that when we stand up for righteousness, forces of evil will put us to the test. But this is why I am standing my ground. I don't believe that compromising with evil makes right. The lesser of two evils is still evil. Standing up for what is right is not extreme. This name-calling is a tired old game that has gone on for decades and has caused good men to back out of politics rather than to fight. The people of Anne Arundel County need a fighter who will not back down to name-calling, but who is willing to stand up and fight for them. The real extremists are those willing to circumvent the Constitution for their personal gains. These are the name-callers who use their influence to divert from the real issues. They do not want to talk about the rain tax. I do. They do not want to talk about the immoral bathroom bill. I do. They want to stay far away from talking about your constitutional rights. I won't. Don't let them divert your attention from what really matters. Stand with me, and together we will win back our county. Then let's continue the fight and take back our state. And at that point, we can join with other states and take back our country. But it starts here, and it starts now. This is Michael Anthony Peroutka, and I'm asking for your vote in November, and I thank you.
This message was produced by authority of Friends of Michael Anthony Peroutka, Thomas A. Pavlinik, Esquire, Treasurer.